Hi, my name is Myra Garcia, and this is my Pioneers in Education presentation. The pioneer that I was assigned was Benjamin Bloom. Benjamin Bloom created a comprehensive framework for learning that classified educational objectives. They called it the Bloom taxonomy. Bloom classified these learning objectives into three domains: cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains. Bloom's early life. Born in 1913 in Langsford, Pennsylvania, Bloom was always curious about the world. At a very young age, he became a devoted reader and loved research. His father was a picture framer and his mother was a housewife. His parents were Russian immigrants that moved to the United States looking for a better place to live. Bloom was one of five children. He had three other brothers and a younger sister. Fun fact: when Bloom was a child growing in Pennsylvania, the librarian would not allow him to return books that he had checked out earlier the same day until he was able to convince her that he had indeed read them completely. Bloom's early professional and personal life. In 1931, Bloom graduated high school valedictorian and enrolled at the Pennsylvania State University. In 1935, Bloom graduated with a bachelor's and a master's degree in psychology. In 1940, he married Sophie Bloom and have two sons with her. He was a devoted husband and father. In 1942, he graduated with a PhD in education from the University of Chicago. Fun fact: Bloom was a handball champion in college. He later taught his sons how to play handball, along with ping pong, chess, and how to compose and type stories as well as to invent them. Bloom's career as an educational psychologist. In 1942, while completing his doctoral program, Bloom was a researcher in the office of the University Board of Examiners under Ralph Taylor's supervision. In 1944, he later joined the faculty of the University of Chicago. In 1948, Bloom and other psychologists concluded that there was three domains: the cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domain. In 1956, Bloom and his colleagues researched and wrote the book Taxonomy of the Educational Objectives, which later became the Bloom's Taxonomy. Okay, let's talk about Bloom taxonomy. Bloom taxonomy is known for being a classification of educational goals. Learning objectives are classified according to a rubric. This was one of the first attempts to systematically classify levels of cognitive functions and give structure to a mental process of students. The taxonomy takes the shape of a triangle, not necessarily the bottom being the the lowest, but this is more of the beginning. Knowledge, the recall of information and discovery, observation, listening, locating, naming. Comprehension, understanding, translating, summarizing, demonstrating, and discussing. Application, using and applying knowledge, using problem solving methods, manipulating, design, and experimenting. Analysis, identify and analyzing patterns, organization of ideas, recognizing trends. Synthesis, using old concepts to create new ideas. Design and invention. Composing, imagining, inferring, modifying, predicting, and combining. And the last one, evaluation. Assigning theories, comprehension of ideas, evaluating outcomes, solving, judging, recommending, and rating. Okay, so let's talk about Bloom's taxonomy revised now. Bloom's taxonomy was revised in 2001 and modified. The new chart is used by educators worldwide today. Fun fact: Bloom's taxonomy was actually revised by other colleagues. They use verbs instead of nouns to describe students' cognitive progress. It also provides a great emphasis on active thinking and learning with creating at the top of level of cognitive skills. Kind of change a couple of those words. So instead of having knowledge, we have remember, which is recall facts and basic concepts. Define, duplicate, list, memorize, repeat, state. So comprehension. Instead of comprehension, we have understand. Explain ideas or concepts. In other words, classify, describe, discuss, explain, identify, locate, recognize, report, select, and translate. Instead of application, we have apply. Use information in new situations. It's execute, implement, solve, use, demonstrate, interpret, operate, schedule, or sketch. Analyze. Instead of analysis, it's analyze. Draw connections among ideas. Differentiate, organize, relate, compare, contrast, distinguish, examine, experiment, question, and test. Instead of synthesis, now we have evaluate. Evaluate. Justify a stand or a decision. Appraise, argue, defend, judge, select, support, value, critique, or weight. And the last but not least, instead of evaluation, now we have create. Create, produce new or original work. Design, assemble, construct, conjecture, develop, formulate, author, or investigate. I believe that the revised Bloom taxonomy, it's a little more clearer and more simpler for educators as well as students to be able to use. Other pioneers in education. Alrighty, so these are some of the people that actually influenced in the life of Benjamin Bloom. Ralph Taylor, former boss of Bloom. He influenced him to believe that the goal of education was to help students achieve the curriculum's goals rather than comparing students. Jean Piaget, a psychologist who revolutionized the way people thought about children's learning and thinking through his stage theory of cognitive development. He influenced Bloom by providing a foundational understanding of cognitive development stages in children. Other people that were influential in his life were his colleagues, Max Eaglehart, Edward First, Walter Hill, and David Crathwell. These four men were an influence as they collaborated with Bloom to publish the Taxonomy of Educational Objectives in 1956. They helped create the frameworks for categorizing educational goals. In other words, the Bloom Taxonomy. Here's a little bit more of his life. In 1964, Bloom was a co-author of their second book, Taxonomy of Education Objectives, Volume 2, The Affective Domain. Bloom also published on the same year his book, Stability and Change in Human Characteristics. His interest in early childhood education helped with the creation of the Head Start program. In 1970, Bloom was appointed as Charles H. Swift Distinguished Service Professor. He also served as an educational advisor internationally for the government of Israel and India. Thanks to Bloom, many changed the instructional emphasis from teaching facts to teaching students how to use the knowledge they had learned. Bloom's late life. In 1971, Bloom collaborated in creating the International Association of the Evaluation of Educational Achievement. That is a mouthful. They call it the IEA, and in organizing the International Seminar from the Advanced Training in Curriculum Development. This was held at Gränna, Sweden, during the summer of 1971. In 1985, Bloom published another book called Developing Talent in Young People. In this book, Bloom directed his focus on talented youth and lead a research team that helped him develop this book. One quote that caught my attention from this book is, "The people who reach top levels in athletics, arts, and academics are those who work hard and have challenging but affectionate parents and top teachers." I thought that this was really interesting. Last but not least, Benjamin Bloom's legacy. Benjamin Bloom died in his home on September 13, 1999, at the age of 86. During his life, he had a significant impact on the field of education and the lives of many children, adolescents, and teachers. His contribution still impacts the way teachers teach and students learn. Educators can use the Bloom's taxonomy structure framework to develop lessons, set clear learning objectives, and assess students' progress at various levels of cognitive thinking. His legacy will continue for many years to come. I hope you enjoyed my presentation on a pioneer of education, Benjamin Bloom. Thank you for watching. Bye.